This is Dr. Sean Marie Higgins with yet another episode of Spirit Call Out. Now, in case you're listening for the first time, Spirit Call Out is where I give you messages from your crossed over or passed over, meaning deceased loved ones, either animal or human, that have come to me to give you messages. And I explain this in more detail in other episodes. Then I give examples of lessons that I learned through my perspectives as I'm doing the call out. So each call out is a message for someone, in addition to certain lessons and techniques and little tidbits of intelligent perspective from spirit to all of us, in the hopes of helping us all become more skilled at spiritual mediumship. So I'm sharing some education with you while I'm doing the call out. And then at the end today, I do have some moments of inspiration that I received during this call out. But first, we'll do the call out and I'll introduce the spirit that came through. And then at the end, I'm going to give you some more intelligent information that they shared with me through the way they communicated with me. Pretty interesting. Wait till you hear about it. Now, what I share with you during this podcast is my perception of mediumship. Of course, everyone is different. These are simply my perceptions and the way mediumship happens and occurs to me, meaning how I understand, think about, and experience it. I honor everyone's methods and modalities, but with you, I share humbly my own experience with it. So today's call out came to me this morning, which is interesting because I've waited for it all week. Of course, I have other spirit communications every single day, including in my practice where I do spiritual mediumship appointments in addition to osteopathic medicine. But today's call out came the day of, and that happened actually the last time as well. And today I got the feeling that I'll be doing a live show eventually. So Spirit's going to actually begin coming to me in the live show. I'm not sure about this yet. It's just kind of morphing into that kind of a thing. So give me your feedback on whether or not you'd like a live show. What appeared to me this morning was a white dog sitting beside a human being standing up. They came through together. They were standing as one, the dog lightly against the legs of the human, which came through as the feeling of a man. They came through as one image. They were outside, either on a sidewalk or in a yard. And I think there was a leash that the man was holding onto. I got the feeling of that telepathically in his right hand. However, his right hand was obscured in the view that I saw. But it appeared that his right hand might have been holding a leash, and against his right leg and thigh, a very tall, beautiful white dog was sitting, both very happy and peaceful. I got the telepathic message that the man was walking the dog, and that was what they wanted to communicate to me. A man walking a dog, and they appeared as that, and they were simply looking at me. And this is what I call a spirit introduction, and I'll explain afterwards, like I said. But this is how a spirit introduces themselves to me as a fading in of a very strong image that I cannot see through. So I cannot see through these spirits. They are very solid, they are very real. And I'll explain a little bit more about this after the call out. I did not see features of the person, but I did see features of the dog. This is a tall dog, very beautiful, really happy, peaceful, positive, well-mannered, good and loving energy of this dog. The dog was much more pronounced than the human. And the first thing I noticed was that this dog was all white, beautiful, groomed, pure, gorgeous white. The word mastiff came to me, although I didn't look that up and I don't know what kind of a dog a mastiff is. But the dog was very tall, long legs. The fur was very long. The ears were long. And I actually have an image of that for you to show you in a moment. The human companion standing beside the dog was sort of non-specific at first. He was different shades of brown, but I did not see any facial features at all, just that he was wearing long pants and that I got the sensation that it was an adult male. So let me go ahead and share that image with you. See if I can get this to work here. Perfect. So I'm sharing that with you. And you can see here how I do rough drawings of my images that I get from spirit. I just start to scribble. Now, I do this after the fact, not in the moment, because in the moment I'm receiving the information from the spirits. I simply allow myself to relax and receive information. So I drew this today and I just start scribbling, not worrying about how perfect it is. I know that if I connect my memory of the image, which was given to me in a consciousness realm, sort of a spiritual realm. It wasn't given to me as an image that was handed to me in the physical world. I'm drawing my memory of this image from the spiritual realms and I'm bringing it back to you as a drawing. And I'm bringing it back through my musculoskeletal system as I'm drawing it for you. So I simply start to just see the image again in my memory and then draw it. And it just scribble and change the lines as they come into perspective of the kind of proportions that I saw. Now, the dog here, although drawn in blue, I drew this dog in blue. I drew the human in sort of a brownish red, kind of maroon color, because they came through separately, but together. So the dog was talking. And so when I get images coming to me like this, it's not obvious at first who's doing the talking, because I just simply saw this image come as one real vision of a real dog and a real human and just looking at me. And that's the introduction. So who's doing the talking? Is the dog passed away? Is the dog talking to this man? Is the man passed away and wanting to communicate with the dog? Who's talking to who? And the more I ask about who's doing the talking and who's doing the coming forward and who's passed over versus who's living versus who's giving the message, the more I ask these questions, this time for this call out, I was answered in the language of the spirit of the dog, which was interpreted by me as the changing of the picture. In this case, the picture morphed to answer my question. I did not hear words or get telepathic information in response to my questions, although I did get telepathic information at the initial introduction. But when I revisited the initial introduction later this same morning, I then asked specific pointed questions so that I could understand what was happening. And those questions were answered as the actual image changing. So, what happened is that the image changed so that the dog became more and more pronounced and the human became more and more in the background like a silhouette. So the dog was doing the talking. The dog was coming forward. Spirit can answer us in many different ways. We just have to be present in the experience of the communication and simply observe and receive all that is given and then record our experiences, even if they don't seem significant at the time. And we have to be open to the vibrational difference that's varied between the different languages in the spiritual versus physical dimensions. And also, it varies via the interpretation, respectively, according to who's doing the interpreting. So my own brain interpreted this vibrational language being given to me by the spiritual dog as the image changing. For some reason, that's how we were able to communicate back and forth. I mean, ultimately, we're physical beings talking with spirits, and the language of spirit is vibration. So each one of us will interpret this language in many different ways. So we have to be open to whatever the interpretation style is, because it's a completely open type of language. It's the most variable type of language that exists. And this is the first time that I was clearly answered by a spirit when I asked questions by the image actually morphing and changing in front of my eyes. So the dog was answering my questions by altering the image. And the dog is coming through more and more clearly with more and more detail as the dog is telling me that she is a she and that she is the one coming forward. The more she comes forward like that, I see eyes begin to appear very specifically, like I begin to notice details of the eyes. Of course, I saw eyes to begin with, but the detail came through. And I began to see that this dog has light eyes. Then they became more prominent, and I saw that they were blue. Beautiful long white fur, becoming more and more prominent, more luxurious, more texture to the fur. As the eyes became more and more blue, I began to see the irises, I began to see the pupils, and the human companion continued to stand in the background and back up a little bit and become more and more all of a one brown color, more silhouette like. So the dog is showing me that she's the one coming forward, and the human is not necessarily communicating. And not only that, but that isn't even really what the communication is about altogether. And I'll tell you what more important information she had for us. But it was important for her to show the human because it was important for her to communicate that the human companion that accompanied her during the last part of her living in body life was very supportive and caring for her. She's wanting to tell her human companions who are still alive after she has passed that she has passed, because her human companions that are still alive may not know that she has passed. But while she was in the last stages of her life, during a part of her life where she was either taken away or surrendered by her previous human companions, and those are the ones she's contacting right now. But the human companions that took care of her during this latest part of her life while she passed away walked her often. She was taken good care of. So she's saying that she was somehow separated from her original human companions. So she might have either been lost and then found and then rehomed, or this white dog may have been surrendered to a shelter because of an inability to take care of her due to an illness or some kind of breakup in the family or family separation of some sort that was kind of devastating, and it was unavoidable that this dog had to have been rehomed. But this dog says thank you, wants to come forward to let you know that she was taken very good care of. Thank you so much for giving me another chance at life, because this dog was rehomed in a way to give her a better life. She says, I forgive you. There's nothing to forgive. And I'm getting the words very strongly. I will never forget you. So if there's any guilt or grief related to the passing or loss or surrendering of this animal, please let it go. She's letting you know, I forgive you. I never needed to forgive you, and I will never forget you. And again, this may have been a situation where there was an unavoidable breakup between dog and family. Now, when I'm doing readings for people in my office and they're sitting right in front of me, I can ask questions. I can ask that person a question. Well, let's say Spirit's showing me this. What does that mean for you? So Spirit brings me information. I can sort of bounce it back and forth between the person in my office who's coming in for the mediumship session so that they can clarify as I go. But in this case, with the Spirit call out sessions, I'm actually conversing with Spirit on my own and bringing that information back to you without any feedback. So I don't know every single specific thing, but I can give you all the possible or potential scenarios that seem to be opening or connected to the initial point intention information that I'm getting that could have possibly been what happened and what these spirits are talking about. And again, this is a vibrational language that I'm still learning to understand, to be frank with you. So I'm giving as much detail as I possibly can, humbly letting you know that I'm learning too, and hoping to teach you something as I learn myself. Now, the eyes keep showing to me brighter and brighter blue on the dog. And she says they may not have been that literally bright blue when she was in living body with you, but that she's highlighting these for me to see so that I can bring them forward as an identifying feature. She might also be highlighting a collar, some sort of a collar that had jewels on it, but not real jewels, either like fake jewels, or it was studded with some sort of a metal or something, maybe like a decorative collar. It might have been red or pink or orange or something like that, that might be coming through. And the reason I say that might be coming through is because I'm kind of feeling that kind of energy where a lot of gifts were given to the dog, a lot of toys and beautiful decorative things that might have meant more to the human companion than the dog. but that demonstrated to the dog that she was very important and significant in this human's life. And she's letting you know that she knows how important she was to you when you lived with her. She has obviously passed away, and she passed away before the human who surrendered her. She's now with you. She's back with you now. So you don't have to worry about losing her or surrendering her because she's here now. Now, she gives me this next information very specifically and maybe comically. You'd be able to tell me. She says that now that she's in spirit form, she's with you because you no longer have to feed her. You no longer have to water her or brush her or drive her to the vet or groom her. She chooses you, although she was taken good care of by her step humans, so to speak. She still chooses you in spirit form. She's coming back to you. She is now with you. And again, she says, I never forget. She's never going to forget what you did for her. I forgive you. I understand why I had to be surrendered or let go. I thank you and I love you. I'm on the other side, so to speak, but we will meet again more directly after your passing. But for now, I'm with you between worlds. We see each other between worlds. We cross the bridge. Every once in a while, you will get more and more indication from her that she is around. Again, she says, I will never forget you. I will never forget you. I never forget what you did for me. That's such a dominant message. So, whoever you are, you human and living in body people that this message is for, this dog may begin to appear more, and you may hear her move things around or breathe or walk or be on your bed. You may feel her in your home more physically. She may be in the back of your mind. You may assume sort of in the back of your mind subconsciously that you hear or feel her around you, and then sort of remember, oh yeah, she's not here anymore. But that is her. It is she. She says very comically, her pronoun is she. So know that it is she. Now, that's the message. And here's my rough drawing. No judgment, no judgments, please. And I do jot things down as I'm drawing. But then what I do is I go ahead and I type up things more specifically. And that's what you just heard. So, what typically happens for these call outs is usually this is in the morning, right after I wake up. And I just start to get out of bed, moving the covers to sit up. And then I remember, oh, spirits are coming. I usually get the fading in of a very clear image that obscures my image of the physical world. They come suddenly, but they fade in slowly, very clearly, very solidly. I cannot see through them. I cannot see my bedroom anymore. The visions are very strikingly clear in that they highlight exactly what I'm supposed to notice. I will have a mental note of sometimes seemingly insignificant things, but for some reason, I will be noticing them more dominantly than I normally would if I had just seen these beings in my physical environment in an everyday living situation. Both animals and spirits come forward together or separate. I get many, many animals coming to me. Animals communicate with me very clearly, almost more intensely than human beings do. So I get a lot of animals coming forward. I call this the introduction. This image fading in, that's the first thing that fades in, is an introduction. And this sort of developed for me as my request to have my spiritual communication be more clear, because it was at first in my life happening so rapidly that I could not keep up with all of the spirits that were coming to see me every morning. And so to me, I feel that I've established a boundary with spirits so that they must introduce themselves to me in stillness first before they begin delivering content. It just takes a moment of stillness for my consciousness to accept, like an instant of stillness before my consciousness is able to get on board with, okay, I'm getting a spirit contact right now. And then they will start delivering content to me in a very clear, orderly, concise, and gentle, calm manner. That's all I accept. I accept only one spirit at a time. Before, I would get several overlapping, and I could not distinguish if they were together or separate. Turns out they were all just really excited to talk to me. So I asked for only one at a time and for only 1 to 3 a day. Since I've asked for that, I've only had as many as 2 come in for the spirit call out per day. Of course, my job is talking to spirits, so that's an additional protocol that I use for a different kind of mediumship in my office for healing and also for mediumship sessions. So they replace my physical visual field with a fading in of an image that appears as reality, but standing still, sort of like a photograph, but three-dimensional, a three-dimensional photograph that I can be inside of, sort of like a holographic photograph of spirit or spirits coming forward in the form or snapshot of activity that best represents their message to me as one visual. And then it is expanded upon after that point, usually with telepathic content. And then it is expanded on even further with other types of sensory information that I'm able to collect in the spiritual realm, such as voices, reading words, having words move on the lower part of the visual as if words were kind of streaming across a news broadcast at the bottom of the television screen. So this all comes through first as a still image, then movement starts to take place that's accompanied with telepathic information, and it comes as an influx. I used to say a flash, but it stays longer for than just a flash. It fades in quickly, but merges with my reality. And then I get a succession of sensory information in all these different ways. Also, emotions will come through and other sensory informations that I can't describe to you or explain to you here, but I try to do so in some of the courses that I teach. It's kind of like people who have had near death experiences and then they come back and say, oh, well, I saw colors that I've never seen before, and they can't explain a new color that they now know about. That's what this is. I feel sensory information that I cannot explain to you. It's not sight, vision, sound. It's not taste. It's not smell. It's not touch. It's not emotion. It's just something different. And we kind of work on this in some of the courses that I give. But all of this comes in as an influx and then it fades away. And that's the introduction. And it can last for a few moments or many moments. It fades away completely. Then another one, completely separate introduction that is an image with sensory content, like I just described in the previous one, will fade in as its own message from different spiritual beings with different telepathic messages and sensory information that I gather from a different spirit. So it's a unique situation. It's its own unique scenario, separate from the other one. This will also then continue until it's complete. It takes enough moments to be complete, and then that fades completely. And then another one would emerge and then it fade, and then another one would emerge in and then fade out. And it used to be that I got up to 5 or 6 in some mornings after I woke up and started to get up and sit up and get out of bed. I would see the images and then I would lay back down and relax to receive more information. As I learned how to hone in on my mediumship skills and refine them, I learned how to control when it happened and how much it happened. I learned how to stop the free influx of spirits one after the other because I could not keep up with their requests. So after I get these initial introductions, I will then later that morning or that evening or even the next day return to the memory of that experience. And it is recalled almost immediately as if there was no time, and there is no time. And then I will hone in on that with my inner vision. And I will call it in again and I will ask for more information. And I have a way that I do this. I open myself to spiritual communication. And I have a way that I do that. I'm not going to go over that in this session, but I will in a next session. So when I sit with this information for the second time, I then draw it and get more information coming in. And that's how I put this all together as a call out. Then if a human comes forward and contacts me after hearing the call out, we either set up an appointment to get further information or contact other spirits. Or sometimes I'm just contacted by people that want to let me know that was their loved one that had crossed over. And they want to say thank you and that they feel better. They feel some sort of resolution and peace. So hopefully that's what I've done today, as well as give a few lessons on spiritual contact and the way that I get the information delivered as an initial introduction. And then filling in the blanks. Next time, I think it would be a great idea to go over something like, why would I want spirit to not come through all at once? Why would I want to slow them down and create boundaries? Why would we want to do that? And what happens when you do that? Many things can happen. You may have a completely different experience of mediumship after that point. So this is important concept to talk about, and we will do that at the next spirit call out session. So thank you so very much for listening. You can go to my website, www.osteopathicwell.com, to access all podcast directories, or at least the major ones, the big ones that broadcast spirit call out. And you can also contact me through the website. Just go to contact us on the menu bar and type in your info, whatever message you have, and let us know if you want to be included on our newsletter emailing, which is set to start as a monthly email. So I wish you all many loving interactions with your spirit loved ones. And until next time, namaste.